applying your braking roll zone and acceleration zone, it is not always going to be the same. And what you need to focus on is where the apex of the corner is. So I'm going to break down a couple different corners. And the apex is going to be the point at where you change direction. So your roll zone is going to be right before your apex. And your braking zone is going to be right before you commit to a harder lean. The tires can only handle so much braking and so much leaning. There's going to be a point where if you're under heavy braking and you lean too much, the tires will break free. So once you're done with your heavy braking, for me, I prefer to sit down in a lot of corners in my roll zone. So I sit down right after my heavy braking, I start to roll, and then I accelerate once my front tire passes the apex. So let's check out these couple different corners, and I'll break it down on where the braking, where the roll zone is, and where the acceleration zone is. They do change, but they're all still the same. So you can see here I'm starting my roll zone, and before that I did my heavy braking. And the majority of your heavy braking should be done when your bike is straight up and down. You can have a slight lean angle, and I would say about 10 to max 20% lean angle. Once you go beyond that 20% lean angle, your tires will break free because of the braking. So you want to, once you're starting to initiate beyond a 20% lean angle, you have to let go of the brakes and let the bike roll in the roll zone. And in the roll zone, one thing I didn't cover in the other video is you can have a very slight minimal amount of throttle or no throttle at all, but you cannot crack the throttle beyond a very small amount, I would say about 10%, because that is going to upset the lean angle of your bike. But typically, if you can get away with just getting off the brakes and rolling, that's ideal. If you have to use a little tiny bit of throttle, that's okay, but you want to be able to keep that throttle on and throughout the corner. You don't want to have to chop the throttle and let off. So here, my front tire has passed the apex, and you can see the dirt being stirred up under my rear tire, and I'm throttling out. Now, this is the apex, and you can see by this corner, it's a 90-degree corner, and I've basically hit the point where I've passed the 90-degree angle. So once that front tire passes it, I can accelerate out. The problem is if I accelerate earlier than that, it's going to send me out of the rut, and I'm not going to be able to lean over and carry speed throughout of the corner. And whoever has the best roll speed is going to have the best exit speed. So the goal is brake a little less on the entry, get that roll speed to where you can have a really good lean angle through the first part, and that'll make you have more momentum, more speed, and more exit speed out of the corner. This next corner is a double apex corner, and these corners give people a lot of problems because they try to hit the first part of the corner and then just throttle into the second part of the corner. But you have to break a double apex corner down like 2 corners, and the same concepts are still going to apply. You're still going to have a braking zone, a roll zone, and an acceleration zone. But as you can see in this video, it's just broken down and my roll zone is smaller. It's very brief. So watch the video. This video is great because you can hear my brakes squeak, and then you can hear me let off of them, roll briefly, and accelerate. And then I do the same thing in the next part of the corner. You also want to make sure in a double apex corner, you do not hit the rear brake before the second apex. If you need to slow down some before the second apex, use your front brake only. Don't pick your foot up and put it on the rear brake. It's going to stand your bike up, it's going to stand your suspension up, and you're going to totally blow the corner. Okay, so after watching that video, you should have noticed that my roll zone was very brief. And you can see I got done straight line braking. I rolled briefly for only a few feet, and then I got to the apex, which is the above line here, the apex of the corner. So again, I just want everybody focusing on the apex. If you can identify the apex in the corner, you'll be able to break every corner down. Find the apex, find the point where you straight line brake. From the apex on is where you accelerate. All right, so in the first one, it was probably easy to identify. You hear my brake squeak, you hear me roll into the first part, you hear me accelerate out. But what I'm trying to do is give it just enough throttle to where I don't have to hit any brakes in the next part of the corner. Brakes are the enemy of momentum. If you can get through a double apex corner without applying any brakes and just using your body and the bike to get you through the second part of the corner, that's awesome. So you can see my roll zone. Instead of applying the brakes, I just briefly let off the gas, let my bike lean, and then I accelerate out of the corner.